Thank you. All right. Good morning, students. Hope you are all doing fine. Hope you are all safe. Hope you are enjoying your classes at home and also doing the reading bit and preparing for your exams. In Frankly speaking, for your first year classes, we have mostly covered everything. But there are some things, maybe because of these prolonged lockdowns, we may get we may get lesser number of classes for you later in the later years. As you know, community medicine is a subject where it starts in the first year and it stays with you till final year part one, right? So in this context we are going to talk about some small topics. These are not the major ones we'll take up when you pass your exams and you come to the fourth semester with us. But yeah, join na? Okay, ठीक है. So we'll take up those major topics later. Only small topics we will talk about in these lockdown times, so that you are updated with some of the, let's say, practical things which you need day to day for your interaction with the patients, as well as in your daily life also. So communication is one such very important subject. You know, we all need to communicate with everybody around us. Okay, you communicate with your family members, you communicate with your friends, and you know, at many points communication can go wrong, and it leads to so many triples and tups between the people with whom you are trying to communicate, right? So health communication is also not very different from usual communication. It involves a lot of rapport building with the, let's say, patients, their relatives. You have to communicate their health status, what is happening to the health. Once a person is in the hospital, then routinely you have to update the family members about the health status before billing them, of course, right? So, and for every process, you know, in your ethics classes earlier, you have learned that for most of the processes, you need to take consent from either the patient. If the patient is not able to give consent, you have to take consent for doing the procedure, or regarding continuation of treatment or stopping some treatment. At so many points, education is or communication with the family members or the patients is involved. Okay, here we talk not about critical care communication or delivering a bad news. Here we talk about in general about health. When you go out to the community, how do you talk to people about health? So in this class we will see some of the basics of communication. What are the different audiovisual aids which are used? Okay, what are the principles which we follow to communicate about health to the people at large? Okay, so in the next couple of classes, 2 3 classes, we'll talk about health communication. We'll go slowly, and if you have any questions, I'll share my number and email ID with you. You can either WhatsApp me or you can email me. So, definition of communication, if you see from the books, you will see that it is a two-way process of exchanging or shaping ideas, feelings, and informations. Okay, so here when I am taking this class for you, though for me right now, if you don't give me a feedback, it will look like it is a one-way communication. It is not a true communication where I am talking and you are listening, and I don't know whether my message is reaching all of you or not. So it is a two-way process. Unless you also participate, unless you also hear what I am saying and you act on it, or you give me some feedback, then only it will be a two-way process of exchanging the ideas, right? So it can be some messages, it can be some feelings, it can be some information. I can tell you that okay, listen please countrymen, COVID vaccine has not been discovered yet. So that is some information which I am trying to give you. Okay, and then if we talk about, we are trying to do a research study where we try to where we want to know the perceptions of students about COVID-19. So that is an idea which I am sharing with you, and you will let me your thoughts. So it is always a two-way process, and it refers to the countless ways that humans have of keeping in touch with one another. Okay, and through the course of this talk we will see that it is not only verbal communication where one speaks and the other listens and the other speaks and the first one listens. It is many other ways. It is through their body gestures, it is through pictures, it is through some charts. I may put up a chart here and just ask you to read it, and I am communicating without uttering a word. Okay, so it is not only verbal communication. Of course, verbal is the main mode of communication, but there are countless other ways also, and we shall see those. Okay, so definition. You may remember this, you may not remember this, but please always remember that it's a two-way process. So here you see some pictures have been put. One girl cartoon is talking to the phone, an adult woman is also talking to the phone. A child is listening to the radio. A man is reading a newspaper. Which of these things do you think are communication? So all of them are communication actually. And which of these modes do you think you can use for delivering health messages? If you have to talk to somebody about health or how to keep safe or COVID-19 preventions. Okay, so how do you think you can communicate? Can you communicate through the first mode, phone? Yes, of course. Can you communicate through the radio or through mass media? Yes, of course. Can you do it through a newspaper? Yes. So you have to ascertain which is the target group which you are trying to reach. Okay. So if your target group with whom you are trying to communicate has a phone, phone will work. If they don't have a phone, however much you try, this method will not work. Similarly, the target group has to have a TV or transistor for the audiovisual method to work. Okay. And for reading a newspaper, the person has to be literate. Okay, one is he should be ordering a newspaper, and only those people order newspapers who are office goers, who are literate, who have some time to read the newspaper. Others don't order the newspaper. So you are catering to that particular chunk of people who are literate and who have time to read the newspaper or who are updated with the newspapers. So that means it is not very easy to say that I will communicate everybody over phone and they will understand. No, different people have different preferences, and it becomes the responsibility or duty of the education provider or health communicator to first survey and find out what are the preferred modes through which people like to take or get information about health, and then you design suitable methods and then deliver to them. I hope you are with me on this. If there is any problem in understanding, please you can WhatsApp me. Okay, why we need health communication? There are three necessary things why we need health communication. One is it is a process because it is necessary to pave the way for desired changes in human behavior, right? So first thing we need health communication is for to change human behavior. Now believe me, this is not an easy thing. People have been behaving the way they are since ages, okay, since their fathers, since their grandfathers, since their great great grandfathers, and it is a tradition, more of a tradition, more than a behavior which follows in a particular family. Okay, and to change that tradition which has been followed for many many years, it's a very difficult thing. Okay, now if somebody tells you that you say that to reduce deaths of mothers or to reduce maternal mortality, which means deaths of mothers while giving birth to the child or within 42 days of childbirth due to various reasons which you will read later. Okay, so you say that okay, if we deliver every woman in the institution in a hospital, which is of course the goal of the national health policy and all other programs, that institutional delivery should be 100% to reduce the risk of infection to mothers and to the babies. So let's say in a particular community you go out and you say that I want to ensure that 100% of the women are delivered in a hospital, whereas the tradition of that particular let's say hamlet or village or whatever you say, the small group of population, particularly there are many indigenous groups of population in India, you know, we call them tribals, we call them migrant populations and so many people who like to stay at one area and then move out, and they follow their own cultures and traditions. You know that, right? So we go to them and we say that we want to take your women to the hospitals and deliver them so that mortality is reduced. Trust me, it's not an easy thing to do, to convince them. Okay, many of the times they are not convinced for doing this because they say that we are our own community, they are very self sufficient, believe me. Okay, and they have all the methods of getting a child delivered and child rearing and everything they have in place, those close knit communities. Okay, so it is not easy to suddenly let's say encroach in within them and then plant a new thought, so that and expect that it will be 100% followed. Have you ever tried asking a smoker to quit smoking? If you have anybody around you, you just try that. Okay, so you will get a very clear cut experience of how difficult it can be to convince somebody. 99.99% of the times it is a failure. People don't listen to you because they are comfortable in doing whatever they are doing, right? Look at your own selves. The government and so many health education agencies and everybody is telling us that you wash your hands at least 20 times in a day. Today when you look at it, how many of you have washed your hands 20 times yesterday? Okay, so they are saying every half an hour you wash your hands or sanitize your hands. Have you really done that? How many of us have done that in the past 24 hours, right? So it is very difficult. Okay, though we know the facts, we know what benefit it is going to give us, so we still don't like to change because of our own convenience and because we don't care about what is going to happen to others or to us. We will take care of it later. So it is the convenience factor, or it is the inbuilt character in a human being that whatever he is comfortable in, he resists change. So communication, health communication, that is why becomes very very difficult, because you are going to convince somebody to change their methods forever, for life. Okay, and it is not an easy thing. Second reason why we need communication is to inform the individual and community participation to achieve some predetermined goals. Now you want, let's say government has set a goal of 100% institutional delivery or 100% children to be vaccinated. Unless the people participate in your programs, are we going to achieve those goals? We are not. Okay, so people have to come forward. So that is why again they have to be convinced that this is a useful program for them. Okay, it is going to benefit them and their children in the long run, so that they come forward and participate in those programs. So such health communication is a mixture of not only convincing, but it has to come with some true facts. It has to come with stories where many kids have been vaccinated in other countries and how those countries have are faring successfully, or how they have evolved from a situation and now they are doing very well. So such stories and such facts have to be shared with the individuals to motivate them and come forward, so that some goals can be achieved. Okay, so in your when we read about various communicable and non-communicable diseases, you will see that lot of goals are there. Okay, so reduce tuberculosis, reduce HIV, eliminate malaria, eliminate filariasis. So how to do that unless people participate? Because it is those people only who are suffering and who are resisting the change. So they have to be motivated in a very positive fashion, in a very strong manner, so that they are able to uh, uh, accept or at least come forward for that change. Okay, third reason why we need communication is, uh, I will cover it in a statement. The only thing more expensive than education is ignorance. Okay, would you agree to that? That we cannot afford ignorance in modern times. You cannot afford somebody saying that, oh, I am suffering because I did not know. And I did not know can be many things. It is not only the symptoms of disease that he did not know, or it is not only that he did not know that he could be a probable host for a particular disease, let's say tuberculosis. He did not know that cough was a symptom of TB. That's why he never came forward for a checkup, right? So we cannot afford that. So every individual must know about what are the important symptoms of the public health diseases that we have in our country. Okay, and they should get regularly screened. They should be benefited from all such screening programs and all such treatment programs that we have in place for them. Okay, so for community participation, for people to come forward and participate in those programs, they have to be informed about what is going on and what are the common disease symptoms, signs and symptoms that they need to look for, or even signs of complications and so many other things we need to tell them about diseases. That's why when you go to hospitals, you see that there are many different kinds of posters which are displayed. Okay, or not all of them are about disease. Okay, some of them are about which doctor is trained in what, so that they have information or access to information about who is the best doctor for treating this condition that the person might be having. So that is why we say that only thing which is more expensive than education is ignorance, because it will always lead to increase in the disease burden by virtue of a person's ignorance, and we don't want that. Okay. Now, how to practice health education? Practice means how actually you do health education, or how you go about educating people. So this usually comes as a short note in your exam that please tell us some methods of practicing health education. So practicing is very simple, that you are telling somebody, or you are initiating a process of that exchange of ideas, two-way communication. So education is done, number one, through audiovisual aids. Now in audiovisual aids we can have three different kinds of aids. First is auditory. Okay, let me see if I can find a pointer so that I can draw your attention there. Yeah, we have that. Okay, so now you look at the pointer. We have auditory methods, we have visual methods, and we have combined methods. Okay, auditory, as you can let's say interpret from the name itself, that it is a method which is heard. Okay, you cannot see anything but you hear. Now the best example that I would give you now is that COVID-19 caller tune. Okay, so you get that whenever you ring somebody up, you get a caller tune. You are not able to see anything, you are not able to see any pictures or anything, but before every call, you are getting some message over the caller tune that please stay safe from COVID or whatever, in a regional language. So when I call somebody, I get it in Telugu. So probably the person who is sending or who has sent that caller tune hasn't assessed that not everybody can understand Telugu, and they have not set their language preferences. So it will work best. Okay, how will it work best? If it is conveyed in the local language for the masses. Okay, but if individual preferences also can be added in, if you are speaking to somebody and they cannot understand a word of it, then that message goes a waste. Okay, so this is auditory. So you can relay these auditory messages over radio. Okay, even if you listen to FM or something, they always inform about pulse polio dates. Okay, when is the next pulse polio campaign going to be, any other important campaign, TB, diabetes, cancer, so many messages keep on popping up on the radio. Okay, so those are all auditory methods. You can also tape record those messages and play them in a large gathering. Let's say some meeting is going on, or some rally is going on, and you can record those messages. I believe you have participated in some rally, and that time you were carrying a mic. Okay, so it is not important that you always speak on the mic. You can always play recorded messages on the mic through a tape recorder. Then microphone, of course, I told you, with amplifier, so that it reaches a large number of people. So just using a small mic will not work. You have to use the amplifier. And earphones, of course, are very important these days. Important attachments to your phones, to your radios, to your we don't we used to have walkie talkies those days. You don't have them. So transistors we used to have those days, and in the audio jog we used to plug in earphones and then listen to it. So earphones are also aids. Okay, if you don't have any earphone, you cannot relay that message which you want the person to hear through a cell phone, or through a let's say portable radio or something. So auditory. Then in visual, we have two kinds. Okay, one is without projection and second is with projection. Without projection means you write down something and it will appear as it is. Okay, with projection is when you project that, you write down something, you project it, and it will blow up about 5 to 10 times of its original height and width, whatever you have written. Let's say I write the letter A and I don't project it. If I put it on a blackboard, it won't be projected. You will see as it is. But if I put it on an overhead projector and project it, that A will be magnified about 5 to 10 times. Okay, so without projection, you can easily imagine we have these aids: chalkboard, leaflets, posters, charts. So whatever is displayed around you, then you see the actual size of that. But when you go to a movie theater, okay, those you have seen the size of the films. The films are so small that they can be kept in a roll. But in a screen, on a big screen, do you see it like that? That teeny tiny size of the movie actors, you see a projected, big projected image where they are running and dancing and fighting and so many things in a and you believe that it is all happening in real time. Okay, so with that is the advantage with projection. Okay, so here we are only talking about visual messages. We are not including the auditory. That in fact does not happen. Okay, without projection, of course it happens. A chalkboard, a board, a blackboard cannot talk to you, a poster cannot talk to you, but these days we have interactive posters. Okay, they have some audio messages also recorded with them, so you can display them on a smart board and the message will also play alongside. Okay, so those are some combined methods like TV, cinema, slide tape combinations. So various such things are available. So these are uh, three methods of audio visual, using audio visual aids: auditory, visual, visual without projection or with projection, and combined. Okay, let's see the next method. Okay, so in methods of health education, you see there are many methods or approaches. Okay, so basically there are three approaches to health education. We say, you will also read in your textbook later, three approaches are mentioned. So either you approach an individual through individual approach, which is called the interview method or the counseling method. So how is counseling for a disease condition done, or how is interview for a particular condition done? You will go and sit with the person, okay, in a isolated place or in a, let's say, confidential place, because you have to ensure confidentiality. You have to know that other people are not hearing what the person has to say, because it will make him uncomfortable and he might not share with you what he feels. Okay, so that is the individual approach, which is adopted for very sensitive issues, I would say, mostly. Okay, and diseases which are rare, or they can have an impact on the let's say social and familial balance in the family. Okay, within that individual's family. Now if somebody comes and he wants to talk about symptoms of HIV AIDS or symptoms of some sexually transmitted disease, do you think that he would want the world to know about it? No, not at all. Would he like his family members to know about it? No, not at all, unless he is confirmed or he needs their care in those aspects. Okay, for simple problems such as which involve the reproductive organs or which involve the GI tract, like acidity, fissures, okay, piles, these things also people don't like their family members or to know about it, because they would laugh at him for such problems, whereas these are not laughing matters. Okay, so individual approach for health education is educating people on sensitive issues or issues where a certain level of confidentiality has to be maintained. Then we have the group approach. Okay, now in group approach we have a group of people, of course, to whom we are delivering the message. Now what happens in group is, you will not select a random group for health education, but you will select a target group. Okay, the group has to be specific, the group has to receive your education. So if you want to, let us say, give education about menstrual hygiene, so who is your target group there? Your target group will be a group of adolescent girls or school girls who go to the school. Maybe you will go to a classroom, then you will make a group of those girls, and you will sit with those girls and educate them. Do you want the boys also to be a part of such education? Will they understand the importance of this education at that level? No, they will not. Similarly, if you are talking about, let's say, reproductive health or safe motherhood, so who is your target group? Your target group is women in the reproductive age group or childbearing age group, right? Or who are due to bear children. So such women will be benefited most by the education. Now, if you call a group of old men and you start educating about safe motherhood, will it have the same impact as you are talking to a group of women who are actually of the childbearing age? Now you can understand the difference. Oh, so that is group approach, where you have to exercise caution in carefully selecting the target group. Okay, so if it is a group of smokers, it can be a group of cancer sufferers. Okay, it can be a group of people, let's say drug addicts. Okay, so usually we don't follow group approach for drug addicts except for counseling. There we follow individual approach only. So for most of the issues related to maternal health, related to addiction, related to let's say communicable diseases like tuberculosis or malaria or dengue, vector-borne diseases. Okay, so or you can say lifestyle diseases like hypertension, diabetes, and all these things. Group approach can be employed by selecting the appropriate target. Then we have the mass approach. Now in mass approach, we don't care about the individual, we don't care about the group, we just give a message to the mass. Now let's imagine, and a suitable example for this would be pulse polio immunization. Okay, so they put up a big banner, or Amitabh Bachchan comes on TV and says that you please give polio drops to your child, irrespective of, he doesn't care that the viewer, whether he has a child or not, what is the age group of the child, he doesn't care about it. Okay, because he doesn't know, he is just speaking and he is going away. So TV, you cannot speak back to the TV. Okay, so you just hear it. If it is useful to you, you take it. If it is not useful to you, you discard it. Okay, similarly, you see so many other brand ambassadors like Akshay Kumar coming in and telling somebody that please don't smoke, please give sanitary pads to your wife. So it is, he is not bothered whether a child is watching it or an adult is watching it or a male is watching it or a female is watching it. So it's a very good method of giving. Actually, he is trying to give education on two aspects. One is quit smoking, don't smoke, and second is also ensuring that people know about sanitary napkins and its advantages, right? So such educative messages are very, very useful, okay, for the community. And if greater problems of the community are addressed this way, so think of some of the problems that you would like to address through mass education. I would think that prevention of most vector-borne diseases like malaria, dengue, because every age group suffers from those diseases. So mosquito prevention measures can be a very good topic for mass approach. Okay, you don't have to bother about whether a geriatric person is listening to that message or a young child is listening to that message. Everybody is equally responsible for protecting themselves from mosquito bites. Okay, similarly, I would say dog bite prevention would be a very pertinent message, because every age group can suffer a dog bite and they are susceptible to contract rabies. So think of such topics which would qualify for individual approach, group approach, and mass approach. Okay, so this is your teeny tiny homework today. You may do it and you may share it on WhatsApp. Okay, what are name just 4 or 5 topics which you would like to cover through individual approach, which you would like to cover through group approach, and which you would like to cover through mass approach. So it will give you greater clarity on how various methods of health education are used. So just blindly you would not go and tell every individual, okay, go call an individual for an interview and say, okay, please give pulse polio to your child. How much will be the coverage? How much population do you expect to cover? So the impact, when you are trying to have a large impact in a very small period of time, you go for mass method approach. Okay. So similarly, you think of some of the things, what are the benefits, what are the disadvantages of each of the methods. At least you think of the benefits. Then you will have greater clarity on when to use these methods, on whom to use these methods. So you see, these methods have been used at different times depending on what objectives are to be achieved through this health education program, what behavior is to be influenced, and what are the available funds. Okay, often you and me don't will not have the kind of money to rope in Amitabh Bachchan and Akshay Kumar to deliver our health education messages. So you have to think about how much money is available and how best you can use it to educate people, so that ultimately it leads to a change in behavior, it leads to community participation. 3 points I told you, no, in the beginning, why health education. So all these behaviors are to be influenced in a positive manner, not in a negative manner, through the money which we have at our disposal. Okay, so these are three methods: individual, group, and mass. So how do we do individual approach? First is through personal contact. I told you individual approach has to be through a personal contact only. So this personal contact can be made with the individual either in the households of the individual, okay, or you can call them to a clinic, you can give them an appointment and then sit with them and then extract history or whatever you're trying to do. Okay, so personal contact is one. This is irritating me. Then home visits, and also through personal letters you can do individual approach. Now again, think of some of the problems which you would like to elicit history or provide information through personal contact. Which are the things which you would like to do through home visits? I would say vector-borne disease control, because it's raining here today, you can't see it, you're missing it. But let's say this is the proper season for flourishing of the Aedes mosquito, which causes dengue. And it is also the proper season for transmission of malaria. So, would you like your individual approach to be personal contact, or would it be a home visit, or would it be a personal letter? Which of these three approaches would work best for prevention of, I mean, delivering education about prevention of dengue and malaria? I would say home visits. Why I would say home visit is, you go to the house of the household of the individual. Okay, there you can do a rapid survey. You can do a quick survey of any water accumulation points which can be breeding grounds for the mosquito. And while talking to the individual, you can actually show. Okay, so it has a greater impact that, see, there is a breeding ground in and around your house, so there is high chance that you or your family members will suffer from the disease. Then you talk about the protective measures. So this is expected to have a very high uh, impact on, let's say, vector density or reduction of the vectors of these diseases. Okay, personal letters. Where would you use personal letters? Let us say you have a person who is suffering from a disease, and you kept that person on follow up, right? Let's say cancer patient. So tomorrow you see that some new drug is available or for pain reduction, and you want the person to benefit out of that. So you will not do home visits. You can either do a personal contact if the person can come. If it is a ill person who cannot come to you so frequently, you can write a letter to that person to inform him about the updates which are available with you, and then the person can choose to come to you and avail those services. Okay, so again, think of what are the possible things where you would like to make a personal contact. I would say most of the reproductive health problems or sensitive problems in nature, okay, HIV, AIDS, sexually transmitted infection, contraception, okay, all these are personal choices, and they have to be resolved through personal contact. Home visits are for problems which are domestic in nature, so that you can also study the household surrounding. If it is disease related to diarrhea or pneumonia, you want to study what are the water handling practices, water storage practices, right? So you have a first hand information, and you can also demonstrate to the individual that these are the causative factors and please get rid of them. So it makes a more, I would say, better impact than just talking or than just leaving a message and leaving him to his choice, because he wouldn't know where what he is doing wrong. And personal letters or communications are for problems, individual problems for which science is evolving, new technology is available on a day-to-day basis, and then you communicate those choices to the individuals through letters. Okay, so this is something more I already told you. Personal interview, how it is done. Individual comes to the doctor or doctor goes to the individual. It can be both ways. Okay, individual listens more readily because a doctor is devoting his personal time to understand the problem of the person, and it has a more lasting effect on him. People will say that, oh, the doctor was very kind, he sat with me, he heard me, okay, he understood my problem, this is a good doctor. So all those doctors who adopt this interview method, indirectly he is the patient feels that doctor heard him, and through this method doctor has conveyed to the patient what he wanted to convey. So it has a more lasting effect on the patients. Home visits, I told you, these are related to child growth, child health problems, or problems which involve the entire family. So here you see a child is being weighed in the home environment. On the other side, the child's so many children are there belonging to one family. Anthropometry is being done. Okay, so they are trying to demonstrate the strengths and weaknesses of the child in their own home environment so that the mother can understand better what to do. So she will usually receive a tip or two from the visitor, health visitor, to take better care of the children in her household. Group approach, it can be through, um, so that was individual approach that we talked about so far. Now in group approach, you can adopt various methods. One is chalk and talk. Okay, only if you adopt only chalk and board, it will be a visual approach. It will not have much impact. Okay, chalk and talk. So you write something with the chalk and simultaneously you talk about it. So that is chalk and talk. Then we have demonstrations, we have group discussions, we have panel discussions, we have symposia, we have workshop, we have role playing, conferences and seminars. Okay, so these are a lot of terms. You get a short note on each of these approaches, and I think the time is already up for today, and we will talk about these group approaches one by one in your next class. So for today I will quickly revise what we have covered. One is why we definition of communication. Okay, why we need communication. Practice through audio visual aids, auditory method, visual method, combined method, or visual can be without projection or with projection, and they could be used for individual, groups and for masses. Within individuals, we saw that there are three preferred methods: personal contact, home visits and personal letters. Okay, we saw the benefits of interviewing and home visits. In the next class, we will take up group approach and we shall see what each of these methods mean, and which are the best topics to relate these methods to. So my number is 9855545714, and you can also find my email ID. It is very simple. It is DRENAKSHIG for Dr. Inakshi Ganguly. So DRENAKSHIG at yahoo.com. Okay, at the rate yahoo.com. Okay, so you please send in your queries or your assignments, whatever you are doing. Okay, these are very teeny tiny. Take a snapshot and send it to me so that I get a feedback that I am communicating with you and you should communicate back to me. All right, so I'll stop here. Have a very nice day. Keep safe. Keep studying. Whenever you will have your exam soon, the university is planning on that. So please keep studying also, and please be healthy. Take care of good care of your health so that you're able to appear for the exams, pass the exams quickly, and go to the next year. All right.